So the first thing we'll talk about is we'll talk about motivation for this class, the whole point of this class. And so we'll start out with the purpose of statistics. And in order to motivate this, let's start with an example. So let's say that in your next job, you're tasked with the assignment of answering the question of what percentage of all Americans approves of the president. So this next part may not be very feasible, but let's say that you have, at your desk, you have binders and binders containing the name and contact information of every single American. And so for privacy reasons, we don't actually have that. But let's say that you did, and so you're able to contact every single American. And you're tasked with the assignment of answering the question of what percentage of all Americans approves of the president. So how would you go about doing this? If you were to call every single American, how long do you think it would take?
You never get that.
Do you think it would actually take years? So, good, so let's actually get a feel. Let's calculate this as a back of the envelope calculation or an on the whiteboard calculation. So, approximately, how many million Americans do you think there are?
330,000.
Yeah, around 330 million. Yeah, very good. So around 330 million, but just as a nice round number, let's say 300 million. So 300 million is 300 followed by 6 zeros. So how long do you think each phone call would take? Okay, so we want to, let's talk about on average, because for some people, they'll tell you, I either approve or disapprove of the president, and they'll hang up. But other people, this is such a charged issue that they'll talk your ear off about why they approve or disapprove of the president. But on average, how long do you think each phone call would take?
2 minutes.
Okay, do you guys agree? So there's no absolute right or wrong answer here, but do you guys think that answer makes sense? 2 minutes on average? Okay. So keep in mind that you have to make a little bit of small talk. You have to ask about their dog and how many kids they have. And then get to the question. But on average, maybe 2 minutes. So if you did this simple arithmetic, this will tell you the total number of minutes it would take you to contact all Americans. And then keep in mind, there's a lot that would hang up on you and so forth. But the average is 2 minutes. So we know this is a very large number of minutes. So let's go ahead and convert this number of minutes into something more manageable, maybe hours or days, or maybe even years. So this number of minutes, how many hours would this be? What would you do to find the number of hours?
Divide by 60.
Yeah, divide by 60. And then, so this will give you the number of hours. I'll go ahead and do this. So this will be the number of hours it takes you to contact everybody, and then what about the number of days?
Divide by 24.
Divided by 24. And number of years, yeah, divide that number by 365. Okay, so anybody with a calculator, go ahead and punch this in and tell us what you get.
$114.15.
114.15. Okay, and this will be in years. So this is how long it would take you to call every American for 2 minutes each. 114 years, by this time the answer doesn't matter. And not only that, this is entirely infeasible. So, this answer being infeasible, the real answer is actually even more infeasible than this, and why is that?
Because you're not calling people nonstop 24/7.
Yeah, very, very good. You're not calling people nonstop continuously, and also here we accounted for the fact that each year is 365 days, so that means that you're working 365 years nonstop for 24 hours a day nonstop without sleeping. So even though this answer is infeasible, the actual answer is even more infeasible. So given that, we're seeing that we can't just contact every single American. So how else would you be able to answer this question of what percentage of all Americans approves the president?
You could send like a form to each person, so you don't have to call up each one, and if you send a form, they can all do it by themselves.
Okay, so you can send a form, so what's the issue of doing that?
Some people won't answer it.
Yeah, so you'll get some people who won't answer it, but good. So far we've seen that we're trying to, I'm gonna draw a schematic of this. We're trying to get information about every person in the country. This is supposed to be the country. And Florida's really big. So we're trying to get every data point here, but we just saw that it's infeasible to try to collect information about every single data point. So one way to do it is maybe send a form or get a poll or a sample, but all those ways are still getting only a subset of all the points that we care about. So this subset of all the points that we care about, we call a sample. So originally, all the points we care about, we call that the population. But it's not feasible to get data about the whole population, so we're gonna resort to having only a subset of the population, which is a sample. So the question is, if we look at just the sample, how do we make a conclusion about the entire population from that sample? So how do we make this, how do we extrapolate this conclusion about the population using the sample? And this is the whole point of statistics. So the point of statistics is extrapolating this conclusion about the original population using a much smaller sample. So statistics is making a conclusion about the original population using one or more samples. Any questions?